Reading with your kids.
Hey, so great to see you. Come on in. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We are coming to you from the beautiful and historic neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We're so happy that you're part of our beautiful Reading with Your Kids family. Please be sure to connect with us on social media, facebook.com/Reading with Your Kids. It's at Jedley Magic on Twitter and at Reading with Your Kids on Instagram. Our guests today are Lisa and Mark Burginger. They're talking to us about Qubits. Qubits is this fantastic STEM-based building materials that are just so much fun. Oh, we're also going to be joined by Andrea Scow. She is the author of 100 Easy STEAM Activities. She's going to be telling us how we can do the shaving cream rain clouds experiment with our kids. Before we invite our guests in, we want to invite you to join us at Kids Expo Chicago, February 8th and 9th, Schaumburg Convention Center, Schaumburg, Illinois. This is going to be a fantastic event. Hundreds and hundreds of activities for you and your kids to have fun with. You're also going to be able to watch Jedley's Totally Interactive Magic Circus. And you're also going to be able to join us at the Reading with Your Kids Totally Interactive booth. Find out what it's like to be part of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. And we're going to be recording content that'll be used in future episodes of the show. It's all happening February 8th and 9th, Schaumburg Convention Center, Schaumburg, Illinois. It's Kids Expo. Joining us right now from Hendersonville in North Carolina. It is a husband and wife team. I'm really excited to introduce you to the inventors of Qubits, a great STEM toy. Please welcome to the show, Lisa and Mark Burginger. How are you?
Doing good. Thank you for having us, Jen.
Hi, Jen.
Yeah, we're excited to be here.
That was Lisa and Mark, and we're real excited. Lisa, why don't you tell us what Qubits is all about?
Okay, well, Qubits is a educational STEM construction kit, and Mark invented it about 10 years ago, and we've been having such a good time with it, and we go to schools and we go to libraries, and sometimes we do classes and at camps or museums, and we show the children how fun it is to actually learn and build with a STEM construction kit.
Now, Mark, I'm looking at a picture of a couple of Qubits creations, and how would you describe the Qubits? You know, if people aren't able to see it like I'm able to see it right now, how would you describe it?
Well, it's the biggest point about it is that it's modular. So we only have two different shapes, and with that, limitation, we're showing children that you can actually build a lot of different things with something so simple. Mm-hmm. You don't need a lot of special parts. And so I think that's an important part of the whole thing. The pieces are very small. I mean, if you put out your hand, they probably go from the bottom of your palm to the tip of your finger, and they're about 2.5 inches wide and very flat. But then they snap together. They have little snaps on them, and then you can snap to assemble a pattern or a shape, and then extrude it in 3 dimensions to build a solid object.
And the objects that you have displayed on your website are really, really cool. And in fact, I think I saw a video of like a truck that was made with Qubits.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of endless. And it's interesting too, because like when we do go to school, sometimes we learn from the students themselves. They will build things and we'll say, whoa, we didn't know you can make that. So we learn from them as well.
We take photographs of them.
Yeah. It's all about one's imagination as well.
Yeah, you may have seen the tractor.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we had an event here in North Carolina. It was a tractor pull. Where they have a drag race with tractors. And so we were there, and we had a booth for the children that were at that event, and they would take this tractor and drag it around or take it around.
So very cool. Where did you get the idea to create Qubits, Mark?
Well, my background is in the arts and architecture, and I really developed Qubits as a structural system. It's a serious type of thing. It's got a patent on it, and it's for, let's say, emergency shelters or things of this sort, where you have to build something quickly out of a limited number of pieces, and that's what it was all starting from. But then one day we were teaching, Lisa and I were out of school, volunteering, out of school, where they had eliminated art from the school, art, music, and so forth. And so we were there just volunteering, and Lisa said, well, why don't you take those cardboard models that you're always working with? Why don't you bring them to the school and see if the kids like them? And sure enough, we saw that they spent quite a bit of time with them. And when we got home, Lisa said, well, why don't you just make this into a toy? And I said, all right, challenge on. Here we go.
Well, that's, so many great things have happened because our spouses have challenged us to do them. Sometimes I think my wife challenges me to do things just to get me out of her hair. But I love this. So you had created the prototype to Qubits as, a solution to emergency situations. So folks could build a shelter really quickly, and you turn that into a really fun toy. What a fantastic thing. What were you thinking of when Lisa challenged you to create this serious invention of yours into a toy?
Well, right away you have to start to think completely different. Making a toy isn't really that easy. And so the first thing we needed to do is make a prototype. So it took almost a year just to make 3D prints and test the ideas in your hands just to see whether or not the parts work properly. Mm-hmm. And at that time, 3D printing was done with cornstarch. And this is back in 2004 when it very first started. And I remember going from San Diego up to Los Angeles to just one special shop which would make 3D printed pieces. It was like magic, Mm-hmm. And so I did do that, and it helped a lot during the formation of how to make the pieces. Well, once you have a 3D print, that's only the first step. And after that, you need to take your CAD model or your three-dimensional model in the computer and translate it into CAD CAM, where they have machining capabilities with metal to create a mold. And that requires another level of modeling or a computer model. And then, what you do then is you make a large metal mold, which will take on injection plastic, and then to create your pieces that way. So it's a multi-step process that took quite a while for us.
Mm. Wow, incredible. Now, Lisa, I take it that you didn't just challenge Mark to get him out of your hair. You saw something, saw something in this. And, I guess what is it, how were you looking at it that you were able to see past that kind of emergency shelter thing to see that, this is more than just keeping kids engaged. This could really, teach kids and really, really inspire kids.
Right. Well, we love children, and I used to go to the schools all the time to volunteer in the classrooms, and we thought, well, this will be great to be able to something different to teach the children all about STEM. And STEM was coming very popular. It was just starting out back then, and no one before that even knew what it was. What is STEM? And so we kind of came at the right time, and our toy relates to STEM. And so it's a great opportunity.
It's a good fit.
Yeah, right. So it's just perfect.
So what kind of STEM skills can kids learn from playing with Qubits?
Well, the toy, everything you build is geometric. So they will first, like it's all different ages. We say it's like ages 4 to like maybe even 104 because we have adults that love doing this. So it just depends what they're making. But they will learn so many different things. I mean, we have shapes. I mean, they'll learn all about their geometric shapes and they can build. Now, what are some of those for the older kids?
We found that we actually reach into polyhedrons, but maybe we'll go into that later. But a lot of times I like to break it down with the word STEM. You got S, science. Well, how does the toy relate to science? Well, in science, you can consider any of the patterns that the toy can make.
Like snowflakes.
Now, snowflakes are very organic, and you'll see snowflake patterns or geometries in crystals and rocks, things of that sort. So right away, those are touching onto the scientific field. And you could probably take it further, but, it would involve, I don't know, some other organic forms of some sort.
Our toy also could make a virus.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, the viruses are good, too.
Yeah, they did that in science class.
It is ICASA, which is the virus shape. That's the geometry of a virus. And that's also the geometry of qubits. And so then we go from S, we go to T, we go to technology. Well, what can you do with technology? Well, we found that for a chassis for robotics, a lot of times kids will use bricks that they'll glue together to make a chassis to carry a motor or a battery, a solar panel, something. With wires and rotors and everything else attached to it. So that's pretty common. There's actually clubs like First Lego robotics clubs that are, directed at that. Well, our shape certainly does make great, you talked about that car. Not motorized that thing yet, but, there are many things that can be done with it in robotics.
And we've done drones.
Oh, we did, did drones.
Yeah, we got them up flying with the qubits.
Yeah, we always challenge ourselves with something.
Yeah.
Let's see, engineering. Well, engineering, that's where I come in, a little bit with the architecture. The form is triangulated. Triangulation and structures is very important. So that part of engineering, we could build an Eiffel Tower, okay? So that's engineering type of thing.
Our tallest one we did with a STEM class in Florida, and it was 17 feet high? 17 feet, and actually it was the kids that built it, and the teacher. We just supplied the qubits to them, and they built it. It was a Dr. Seuss night, and they built it in the cafeteria, and I guess it made the, for the tallest.
Well, of course, it's the tallest qubits tower ever.
Right.
No one else could ever do what we did.
But it was amazing, and the kids felt so good. They were like 5th and 6th graders, and they were in a special STEM class, and they just loved it. And they were part of it.
Like 280 pounds of plastic.
Wow.
Pretty like no glue. Every piece is just snapped together.
Yeah.
And then they just built it up with, they used like a cherry picker to get up to the top.
Right.
Okay, so there's your engineering.
Right.
Now, if we go into M for math, that's really where it's all at with our toy. The geometry and the math behind the shape are enormous, and it just keeps going on and on. More recently, I've been exploring some of the spherical shapes of qubits, and we're finding out that qubits has the inbred or built-in capability to define polyhedron, which are three-dimensional geometric shapes. So when I did this, I actually created a shape, which is called the icosahedron, which is an undiscovered shape. No one's ever done it before. We have professors at Georgetown, or up in the university up there in D.C.
George Washington.
George Washington University. I'm sorry. And so he's the head of the math department, and he worked with me on this to look into it. And actually, we cannot find any evidence of anyone doing what we've done. So we call it a new polyhedron.
That's very exciting.
And we were able to name it. And then after that, I've been encouraged to explore that further, and I've actually come up with two more, even more complex polyhedrons that I haven't even built yet completely or analyzed. And this is all mathematics and geometry.
Yeah, and the high school teachers love it because
it's
for that grade. So it's kind of interesting because our toy can go for all different ages and all different grades, and it's wonderful because we could accustom everyone.
Yeah, I'm just fascinated. And Mark, you started going off into a direction I didn't even know what to question you next. My mind is about to explode. But I like the fact that you can have a toy that is so adaptable and so like a 5 or a 6-year-old can play and learn from it, but it can also be used to demonstrate and to create some incredible shapes that have never existed before.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah.
And this is not, like we said, these things are unfolding or coming around as time goes by.
Yeah.
I mean,
it makes it exciting because there's always something new we can do with it. You know, it's never dull.
Right.
Well, one of the things that must have been really exciting for you is I see that you were on Shark Tank in the first season. Just so many people love that show. Tell us a little bit about that experience, please.
Well, that was a fun one, that's for sure. It was over 10 years ago now.
Uh-huh.
It's hard to believe. It's still on the air.
Yeah, it's amazing.
We saw it as an opportunity to get our name out there, and so we jumped at it.
And it was before the show was even on, so we didn't even know anything about the concept of the show, who the judges were, because they had filmed Mark and they sent for him to come to California, and you didn't even know anything about it. Yeah.
Not really.
Right.
We filmed during the very first week of them ever filming anything for Shark Tank. So they had done the pilot, but that only involved one entrepreneur. But when they went ahead and did the rest of this stuff, they had to get dozens of us down there, and they had to coordinate us and had to house us and feed us and show us where to go. And it was quite an experience, and it was all done at the Sony Studios. It was a very, very hot summer. It was July.
It was a heat wave in
104
California.
degrees. It was so hot.
Wow.
And so we spent a lot of time sitting in the shade of the buildings and waiting to go in there and have our interview. We had no idea what was going to happen. We didn't really even know who they looked like or what anything, really.
Yeah.
We just heard that they're moguls. You're going to pitch to a mogul and they're going to maybe invest in your company, and that's all we know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So the first season, I think, is one of the best seasons of Shark Tank because it's the real deal. After that, entrepreneurs knew what they were going to be getting into, and they were able to craft their message, craft their branding, craft everything they have to fit what the sharks would like to see. But first season, we didn't have that advantage. We just were in there cold turkey. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like from your ability to adapt to that and for your mind to be able to create qubits, it sounds like you're kind of good at that, thinking on your feet and kind of going into things blind and being able to react to it properly.
Yeah, we're getting better.
So it's exciting, you're still discovering new shapes and you're bringing qubits around to schools. And you mentioned that the kids are teaching you, are always teaching you things about qubits. What's probably the most fun thing that kids have taught you about qubits?
Well, they made some shapes.
They make shapes.
Yeah. Like a lot of times we'll go to the schools and we'll do a PowerPoint about construction toys, and then we'll bring our toy to the classrooms and they'll all make something. Sometimes we'll do it as a group. It depends how many kids. Sometimes we'll say, okay, we're all going to make a bridge or we're all going to make a tower. But sometimes it's kind of free play where they do whatever they want, and then we'll go around after and we'll ask them what they've made, and then they'll share it with the class. And some things we thought, wow, we didn't know you can make that. And so we learned from them.
It's
So it's really
a very fun part of it.
And we said, we're going to keep that as a model because they all wanted you to keep their stuff. And we said, definitely, because we've never seen that before.
Some kids make organic, like animals. They'll make an animal shape of some type.
Yeah.
Some will do letters. Some will do some sort of a gizmo that does something. And the imagination is unreal.
Right. Everybody's just different.
When they're allowed to, just exercise that.
Yeah.
And they don't get to do that every day in school. They have to pretty much do what they're taught.
Right.
And, this allows them to explore a little bit of their imagination.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it sounds like you should, you were talking about how Qubits fits nicely into a STEM curriculum. It also sounds like it fits nicely into a STEAM curriculum because so many schools are adding that A for the arts. And it sounds like kids can use this to create some really fun, pieces of art.
They can, right, because some of this stuff is very artistic that you
very.
can make or they made, and so it does. It goes into STEAM and STEM.
Well, tell everybody where we can go to find out more about Qubits and where we might be able to find it so we can bring it to our homes and introduce it to our kids.
Well, we have it on our website, which is qubitstoy.com. And we now have this 60-page booklet. It's a free booklet that you could download, and it actually talks about how to make all these different shapes, and it's an amazing. Mark made the booklet, and so that's really interesting. We also are on Amazon because some teachers love to buy from Amazon because they have special groups that they belong to and everything. So those are the only places. We're not in stores because we feel like the stores a lot of times is all about packaging, and you really don't even get to see and learn even about the toy. You're just looking at a package. So we prefer just to be online, our website, and on Amazon.
Yeah.
For now, yeah.
And the website is qubitstoy.com, QUBITSTOY.com. And one of the things I love about your website, and one of the things I love about Qubits, and one of the things I love about both of you is that it doesn't sound like you created this so that parents can come and just throw this in front of the kid and say, here, get out of my hair, take this and keep yourself busy. You really encourage families to create together.
Yes, and that's why we encourage teamwork, and it's great because if, say the child, we have people sometimes that buy this for their child that's 3, and we usually say, well, they may be kind of young, but then the parent is working with them. Mm-hmm. So that's actually great because then they have that interaction and then they work together and then the child learns. But at any age, it's wonderful and the parents love it. I mean, when we do classes at the library sometimes, the parents are in the class with us and then afterwards they're out there on the floor creating.
And they're asking us questions.
Yeah, they're building bicycles and all these different things. And they're having a ball, so the parents love it just as much as the children.
Absolutely. And we love it because here on the Reading with Your Kids podcast, we understand that, there's so much value when we read with our kids, but there's also so much value when we create with our kids, when we explore with our kids, when we play with our kids. So, really excited that you've created Qubits and that you're really all about that teamwork and families doing things together.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And I know I used to read to, what did they used to say, start reading to your child when they're in your stomach and stuff. I don't know if they're still doing that, but that's what they used to say years ago because they'll pick up things and they'll hear and constantly interacting with your child is so important.
Absolutely. Well, we've had such a great time speaking to Lisa and Mark Burginger. Help me with your last name here. Burginger.
Right.
Lisa and Mark.
They've done worse things to that name. Our two daughters, they both graduated and college, and then they walked through and they told them how to pronounce the name, and they messed it up, and we thought, oh gosh, and we laughed and everything. Then the year after, our other daughter went, and we thought, oh no, this is not going to happen. But it was the same person that was pronouncing the name, and again he messed it up, and again we laughed. And we have it on video.
And he has a doctorate too.
Yeah. So we thought, okay, whatever. So that's fine. We're used to it.
Well, we've had such a great time talking to Lisa and Mark, the creators of Qubits, and we want to encourage you to check out QubitsToy.com. Lisa and Mark, thanks so much for being part of our show.
Thank you for having us, Jed. It was lots of fun.
Right now, we're going to welcome Andrea Scow. She's going to tell us about a great experiment that we can do with our kids with shaving cream. Joining us on the line from Haddonfield in New Jersey, she is the author of a fantastic book, 100 Easy STEAM Activities. Please welcome to the show, Andrea Scow. Andrea, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am wonderful, and I'm lucky. I actually have your book in my hand. Your publisher was kind enough to send this book to me. The minute I picked it up and started going through it, I said, I need this author on the show. And and I've said this before on the show, my wife always gets first crack at any book that comes in. And I always know when a book is really good when my wife takes it into school immediately. And my wife took this into school immediately. So I'm holding 100 Easy STEAM Activities. It was beautiful and pristine when it arrived. It's kind of crumpled and dirty and wrinkled because my wife's been using it so much in her classroom.
Yay.
So I guess that's actually a good thing when a book gets
Yeah. That's amazing. I love hearing that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So we're excited. Andrea has agreed to come on the show and to share with us some activities that we can do at home with our kids. And I'm really, really excited about this. So what activity are you going to share with us today, Andrea?
So today I'm going to start with, it's the very first activity in the book. It's a great one to start with. It is called Shaving Cream Rain Clouds. And it's super simple to set up. And it gives kids an introduction to the weather concepts and sort of the shaving cream acts as a cloud. And then we're going to make the cloud rain into some water. So to set up, all you need is like a clear vase or a jar, like a glass jar, some water, some shaving cream, some food coloring, and some droppers. And to do this experiment, you just fill up the vase with water about half or 3/4 full. And then you put some shaving cream, spray some shaving cream on top of the water. And the shaving cream will just sit there on top of the water. Then you take some food coloring, and I would drop the food coloring onto your cloud or your shaving cream. And I like to use lots of different colors. You can do color mixing here. You could do red and blue. And when they start to mix, you'll get purple falling through. But once the cloud or the shaving cream gets heavy enough with the food coloring, the food coloring will start to trickle through the cloud and rain down into the water in these beautiful streaks. And you'll just see, I like to use lots of colors, so you see lots of colorful streaks coming into the water, and it has the most beautiful effect. And it sort of demonstrates the concept when the cloud gets too heavy, it begins to release into the atmosphere like rain. Mm-hmm. And in this case, the rain are the colored food coloring coming through. Isn't that cool? And you can use the dropper. Actually, if you find you're putting color and it's not coming through, then I take a little water in the dropper and make your cloud a little heavier to kind of get it going a little more. So that's what the dropper is for.
That's really ingenious. It's really, really pretty. Unfortunately, this is a podcast, so you can't see what we're talking about. But it really is pretty, and it's really simple. It's just those ingredients, just food color, shaving cream, a vase or vase if you're fancy, and the instructions are really easy. And so the concept we're teaching our kids that the reason it rains is that water evaporates and it collects in the clouds, and when it gets too heavy, it just falls from the sky.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. Are there any kind of safety precautions that we need to take when we're doing this experiment with our kids?
Well, if you have younger kids, I would say kids under 3, you just want to make sure they're not putting the shaving cream in their mouth or anything like that. But it's pretty safe. It's obviously, not edible. But yeah, you want to set up a work area that it's pretty mess free. As long as everything stays in the vase, you have an easy cleanup. You just take it over to the sink when you're done, and you can dispose of everything down the sink.
That's wonderful. Now, I think any kids would love doing this experiment. Like I said, it looks really, really cool, and it's fun. And shaving cream is kind of fun to play with, no matter what age you are.
Sure.
But what age kids are we going to want to target to, really kind of get in that lesson about the rain and the clouds?
Well, it really varies by kids. My kids range in age from 3 to 10. I have 4 boys. And so this is interesting to all of them. And, the younger ones will not be so into the concept, the more technical concept of why the cloud lets water through. But this one is great because it's actually such a high level overview. We're not going into deep scientific concepts here. It's just to get the idea across to them that water comes out of the clouds. So I think even really young kids, and even if you have kids younger than 3, you can do it for them and let them watch. And, my kids in the end will of course want to touch the shaving cream, and they'll get a little messy with that, which is it's a great sensory material anyway. So I usually take it over the sink and then let them kind of go crazy with it. But it's really good for kids of all ages, at least up till 10. But I have to be honest, I enjoy doing it, and I'm an adult. So, it's fun for everyone.
Well, I would enjoy doing it too, but I don't often get accused of being an adult. So you can't.
Hey, we all need to play still, right?
There you go.
You never outgrow that.
Now, what inspired you to write 100 Easy STEAM Activities?
Well, after I had my 4th son, I decided to stop working full time. The demands at home were just becoming so much, and I wanted to spend time with them. So I left my full-time job and I started staying at home with them. And after about 6 months, I was like, I need to do something. I've always worked, and I needed sort of a creative outlet. So that's when I started raising dragons. And what we started doing was making video. I've made videos with my sons of simple science experiments or educational activities that we did at home, and posting them on social media. And the videos just went crazy. They were like 1 minute or less. Really a lot of moms and homeschoolers and educators, I think, responded to the video format and the easy activity idea. And so I really launched my sort of business that way. And then after about a year, I thought the next logical transition would be to put a lot of ideas into a book. So that's sort of where the book came from. And then I just reached out to a publisher with my idea, and they wanted to move ahead. So I have been working on this book for, oh my gosh, I guess it took about a year to get it done. And some of the activities are ones we've done on our site, but most of them are actually ones that we've not done. So there's a lot of new stuff in the book. So it took a lot of work to compile everything, figure out how I wanted the chapters to be arranged. And we have chapters for all the STEAM categories, which are science, technology, engineering, art, math. And then I also included a section for toddlers because it's never too early to start. And actually the toddler activities work for older kids, but they are will work well for toddlers. And then I did a category with sensory STEAM activities because sensory is a great way to learn engaging the senses, and it's fun. My kids love anything sensory, so I want to make sure I included a chapter there. And then a seasonal chapter because we love doing winter-themed activities, spring, summer, fall. So I wanted all of that included as well.
That's fantastic. You mentioned sensory. I did an experiment many, many decades ago. Actually, I was working in a school for kids with severe developmental disabilities, and my job was to give them opportunities to interact with quote-unquote typical kids. So I found a brass quartet that would come out and do a concert for the kids in my school and the kids at a neighboring public school. And our school was located in the hospital, so we went down into the foyer of the hospital, which was just built, and we got a company to bring in balloons and donate these balloons. And so all the kids were going to hold the balloons and be able to feel the music through the balloons. And so we had this, we actually had media there, and I was really excited, and I really didn't know anything. Just one of the teachers suggested that we do this. I'm a clown and a magician and a PR guy, and so the kids are all standing there, and the trumpet player got up, and he started playing, and they couldn't feel anything. The room was just too big, and it just went. And the next player got up, and he tried, and nothing. But thankfully, the tuba player got up, and boy, they could feel that. They all felt that, and it was cool. They played it, and the kids were like, "Whoa, this is awesome!" So,
well, see, you were doing an experiment right there.
That's right. And they barely had discovered science when it was back then. So this is really cool. Well, where can folks go to connect more with Andrea Scow and find out more great STEAM activities?
Well, you can definitely go check out our website. It's raisingdragons.com, or on Facebook and Pinterest, we're at Raising Dragons, or Instagram, we're at Raising Dragons 4.
We've had a great time learning how to make shaving cream rain clouds from our friend Andrea Scow. Andrea, thanks so much.
Thanks so much for having me.
Please be sure to join us for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We have so much fun speaking with author-illustrator Rob Bidolph. It's going to be a fantastic show. You do not want to miss it. We want to thank the folks who made today's show so very, very wonderful. Of course, we want to thank the creators of Qubits, Lisa and Mark Burginger. Please be sure to check out Qubits. We also want to thank Andrea Scow talking to us about how we can do that shaving cream rain clouds with our kids at home. Thank you so very, very much. Also want to thank my producer, Fatima Khan. Be sure to check out Fatima's blog. You can find it at readingwithyourkids.com. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. I want to thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you so much for making the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.